me look on my LinkedIn. Oh yeah, it says I just got a notice on my LinkedIn.
That we're live.
Joan Kling is live right now. So I so excited to have LinkedIn Live, and so excited to have my first leadership session. So my intention is for this to be for first-time supervisors, leaders, managers, executives, for people that have been promoted and then kind of left on their own. A lot of times when you get promoted, like I say, you can be really great ditch digger. You dig the best ditches. You know when to use shoring. You know when there's a danger. And then they say, oh my God, you're so good at that. Let's make you a supervisor of the ditch diggers. And no one says how to do it.
Right.
So I've been in that position several times where I've gotten new positions. And I mean, one time there's your desk. This is no lie. There's your desk. There's your phone. Underneath all those boxes, they're yours. See you later. And so, yeah, it's just a special place in my heart for people that are like forgotten, kind of. So that's my intention for this live broadcast. And today is my first time with a guest. First time with, I'm calling my show On Being a First-Time Leader. On the weekends, I have a show that's called Stories of Serendipity and Synchronicity, and that is really fun. And today, I'm excited to have my first ever guest, Christy Trippi, and take it away, Christy. You say whichever you want, and then we'll work off the comments, and we'll go from there.
Okay, sounds great, Joan. I'm excited to be your first guest. This is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But before we go into the nitty-gritty of what we're going to talk about today and get all energized from that, I just wanted to say to everyone, I know anyone in the hotel industry today is hurting with the shocking news of the passing of Arne Sorensen. And he was just such an incredible, visionary, brilliant, kind, humble man who made a legendary impact on our industry. And I'm profoundly proud to have learned from him, to have met him, and to have worked for company and under him. But my heart is with everyone who's hurting today. I know two things that I know that he wants us to do. One is to keep taking action and keep moving forward, making a difference to spread energy and hospitality in our world. So that's what I want to do today with you. I want to continue to help build those leaders, just like he's done for us for so many years. And also, I put it on my LinkedIn page. I'd love for you to share this in your show notes. A way we can all take action today is to donate to pancreatic cancer to help cure it so that we never have to lose another person to this horrible disease. So that'd be great if you could share that link. It's also on my LinkedIn live or my LinkedIn profile where I've shared as well. So that's what I've been sitting here since 7 o'clock this morning, not knowing what to do with myself. And I just wanted to do something. I needed to take action to start moving forward in this day. And that's how I decided to do it. And now we're going to do it together, Joan. So let's do this. Let's get this party started.
Well, what were the two things? I want to put them in the chat. The two things that Arne would say.
Well, the two things I'm channeling through his great leadership is one, to take action. And I have a link that I can share with you. It's where you can donate to the Pancreatic Cancer Society or mission to help cure cancer. And the other one is to just get out there and keep doing what we all love to do and what he loved to do, and that's bring hospitality to the world. So especially with this show gearing towards new leaders, I know he was all about teaching and empowering and building that leadership in people. So this is a great way to also honor him. Keep that message going. And yeah, I love all the comments coming through. Take action, donate to pancreatic cancer. I think that you added that. And just so many people saying, their well wishes to Arne. it is a very sad day for
Mhm.
our industry, but we're going to
Yeah.
keep going on just like Arnie would want us to do.
Yeah, and I was unfamiliar, so I called him up on my LinkedIn right before the show. You were telling me about it, and boy, he's a young guy. He's only
Yeah,
he
62.
well, the older I get, the younger the numbers are. But
Yeah,
62, which is so young,
yeah.
and
So
yeah, and he just looks like a really nice guy. Just his picture looks like
I
a nice
mean,
guy.
he was one of the best.
Good,
Just one of
good.
the best. I could not have been. I share a story on my LinkedIn profile today about first time I got to meet him. I was winning Gold Hotel of the Year and a Gold Hotel Award. And I was coming up on stage at the General Managers Conference to accept the award. And when I realized that it was Arnie Sorensen giving out the awards, I forgot all about the award. All I cared about was the fact that I was going to be in the same space as Arnie Sorensen. I mean, I'm literally such a fangirl, and I was nervous. I was like outside. I was like outside experience. So as I'm going to shake his hand on stage, I just completely lost myself, and I'm looking up at him, and I'm just like in awe. I just lost myself, and I held onto his hand for way too long. And people were laughing, and all of a sudden, like I came to, and I let go of his hand, and he was just a sweetheart about it, and everybody laughed. And I said in my little message that I always refer to that moment as the time I almost kidnapped Arnie. But and then another general manager conference, I got to run with him. A group of us, we did a Take Care at Marriott. We have a program called Take Care. It's all about being healthy and taking care of yourself. And he did a run with us, and he's he was just wonderful.
Yeah, he looks like he was a thin guy, like he was in shape.
Oh, he was in shape, all right. Yeah, he was always running. He ran so fast that by the time we were like halfway out, he was already on the return. He was. I mean, he had legs though. I mean, I got to give it to myself. He had long legs. But yeah, he was amazing. Yes,
Nice.
And he'd be proud of what you're doing, helping leaders be empowered and become who meant to be. So that's great what we're doing here today.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So whenever you feel, emotionally ready to move on.
Oh yeah, let's do this, Joan. We're ready. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So what do you want to tell us? What I know about you is that you I read your book, which I just absolutely loved. And I just want to say a couple of things about it before we go. You had something to say and you said it.
Yes.
Some of these books, my goodness gracious, it's just that they're filling up the pages. And you're just like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what you need. A little before, a little after. It was a fantastic book. It was a wonderful book. I got a lot out of it.
Thank you so much. For all of you out there, this is the book. It's Yes is the Answer. And that is exactly it, Joan. I had a mission to share this. If I could give 2 gifts to every service provider in the world, one would be the ability to stand tall and be empowered and lead from the heart and always deliver that yes answer. That's one. The other one is I would love to share that you have the power to change the world one yes at a time, every single day. And those are the 2 things I wanted to share with the world. And that's what this is. It's a little snack of a book packed with juicy information for all of you on how to do those 2 things. And I know in today's world, there's so many distractions and competing things to pay attention to. And I knew that it's hard to get people to read books these days. So I wanted to create that little snack of a book. You can finish this in 60 to 90 minutes. It's a great airplane ride. A great book for the airport. And it will help you to be the leader you are meant to be.
Mhm.
And when I say leader, I talk about this in every hotel that I lead, and all the organizations that I support right now. I mean anybody in our industry. It does not matter what your title says on your name tag. You are a leader, and
Mhm.
you can change the world, and you are empowered. So
Mhm.
that's what I talk about when I say leader.
Perfect.
Yes,
Perfect.
yes.
So tell us about, in the beginning of your book, you talk about kind of how you were inspired to come up with yes is the answer. So tell us a little bit where the book came from and how your idea developed and things like that.
Sure. Well, it came from my failures. And I think
Oh, love that.
I think any great idea comes from your failures. So
I agree.
I talk about this in the book, but quickly, it was back in the might have been late 80s, early 90s when I was a young manager. I became an assistant general manager at the age of 18. I started in hotels at 17.
Wow.
And so, I mean, I was this young leader just I wanted to be the best, and I just wanted to be successful, and I also wanted to make a difference and just be that leader that I always wanted to have. So I was reading articles, I was reading books on how to be that great leader. And I happened to read an article about this hospitality professional who was celebrating. He just got a big promotion and wanted to celebrate with his family. So he took them all out for dinner, and they had a great dinner. And then at the end, they were going to have an amazing dessert. It's the best part of dinner is dessert. And the waitress came around asking everybody their order. And she came to his daughter, Susie, and she said, "What would you like, honey?" And she said, "Oh, I'll have a pineapple milkshake." And so the waitress says, "Oh, no, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, we don't have milkshakes on our menu." Say it with me, everybody. Wah, wah, wah.
Uh-huh.
So he was so disappointed by that, not only because this was a big celebration, he just wanted everybody to have whatever they wanted today, but because as a hospitality leader, how hard would it be to make a pineapple milkshake? What do you need, Joan?
Well, I'm cheating because I read the book, but I'll tell you, this is what I know is that they definitely had milk, and they probably had vanilla ice cream.
That's
And
all you need. You need milk, pineapples, and vanilla ice cream.
yeah, and
That's
I
all
mean the
you
pineapples from the bar where they have
Exactly.
pina coladas.
Exactly. And literally, you could have done it with yogurt too. But
Exactly.
And as a hotelier, he knows that just because it's not on the menu, could we have been more creative to say yes or to make it happen? So he was so impacted by all of that. He brought it back to his hotel and he said, "From this day forward, we no longer say no in these four walls. Our new motto is yes is the answer. What is the question?" And he had his big rally. He hung up little pineapple milkshakes everywhere to remind everybody to say yes. And as I'm reading this, my little 18, 19-year-old heart is just beating a drum. I'm like, yes, I totally buy into this. I'm going to do this at my hotel. And at the time, I worked for the Crown Plaza in Lisle, Illinois. So I had my big team meeting. I hung up my pineapple milkshakes. Our new motto was yes is the answer. And Joan, I know you read the book. What do you think they all said to me? Or what do you think happened? The associates were all bought in. They loved the idea and they were ready to say yes. But then what do you think happens in the real world when you get faced with questions like, "I'm platinum, isn't breakfast included?"
I
Or
wrote that down. Yeah.
yeah, can I get that upgrade? Or can the hotel sell X amount of group rooms this day? There's so many hard no questions out there. We quickly realized saying yes is hard to do.
Yes.
So it was through that failure of, okay, this was our intention, but this is a lot harder than we thought. I really started going into my career of focus, like super focused on how do you always say yes? And it really took a while before I came to that formula and where I really realized it's 4 simple steps and you can always to our guests. And think about this, all of you leaders out there that might be listening in, it's not just about you at work. your whole life matters. And it's about relationships. So think about this at school. Think about this with your family, with your in-laws, husbands, kids. This is something that can help you build your relationships in every relationship that you have.
Good. That's awesome. Now I don't know how to get us both back on the screen, but
you'll figure it out, Joan. It's the first one. I'll forgive you.
So what I wrote down about what I liked about your book was that it was very simple. You have the 4 steps. Do you want to just tell us what the 4 steps are?
Sure, I'll go through a bit of that. First, I'm going to just say hey to Trisha. Thanks for tuning in, Trisha. I love that you're inspired, and I'm excited for your leadership journey. That's awesome. So the 4 steps, I'll take you through a little bit. Again, you can find out more in the book, but let's just start with the very first 2 steps. The first one is to make friends first. And I know that sounds ridiculously simple. However, it's usually the anxiety of that confrontation that gets people going down the wrong path and not creating a relationship. So I'm going to give you a really quick example of something I do anytime I'm consulting or about to do a training class for a region or any hotel. I'll test the hotel when I'm going out either on the phone or in person. So, for example, last week I was just doing a keynote for Ascent Hospitality, and I called a number of their hotels, and I said, hey, I'm coming into Alabama for the first time. By any chance, do you have a shuttle to the airport? Or an airport shuttle, I think is what I said. And what do you think I'm told every single time I ask that question?
No, like hesitation. I'm going to say hesitation, uncomfortability, sorry, no.
Exactly. 100% of the time, unless it's an airport property, the answers I get are no, I'm sorry, unfortunately. These are the 3 phrases you want to eliminate from your vocabulary. And let me share with you a couple reasons why. First of all, when we say, no, I'm sorry, unfortunately, what happens is scientific. In your brain goes into that fight or flight. Okay, when you get that question that you know is a no and you're afraid of that confrontation, and you go into flight or fright and you just say, no, I'm sorry, unfortunately, just shoot it out. Rather than that, stop, take a breath, and make friends first. Because when you say no, you cut off all creativity and the relationship ends right there. So what happened when I asked that question? They said, no, I'm sorry, unfortunately, we don't. And I just paused. I just waited to see if they'd say anything else. Oftentimes somebody will come in because of the uncomfort of the silence and say, but you can take da 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 da. And they'll tell me that what I can do. So sometimes they do that. Sometimes it's just dead silence. And I'm like, okay, thanks. And I hang up. And I've just lost all these opportunities to build a relationship. Now, on the other hand, if we make friends first, it might sound like this. Thank you so much for choosing our hotel for your first trip to Alabama. You are going to love it. And hey, we're right next to the Space and Rocket Center. You're going to love that too. So now I'm starting to build that relationship. What we recommend is there's a light shuttle at the airport, Uber or Lyft. Those are our recommendations from getting to and from the airport for our hotel. Do any of those work for you? See how that goes? Now, you notice my stature. When I can say yes, like I just delivered, do you see my eyes? I'm staring at myself here. I get excited. I stand tall. I'm happy. I'm giving you eye contact. But when I have to say, no, I'm sorry, unfortunately, you shrink in your confidence. And you're all leaders out there, and I want you to be able to stand tall, be empowered, and lead from the heart. Deliver those yes answers. That's what I want your day to look like. Excitement. Yes. Rather than, no, I'm sorry, unfortunately. So there you go. Then step number 2 is go right into what you can do, Joan. Tell them what you can do. So again, I said I made friends first. I built a relationship. Now I've got some good information that I can still continue to connect as they stay at our hotel. Then I tell them what they can do, how they can get to and from the airport. Really, that's what the question is. How do I get to and from the airport? And then step 3 is offer options. So I offered Lyft, I offered Uber, I offered the light rail that they offer over at the airport. And at my old hotel where I was general manager, we had a negotiated rate with a limo company. So that was another thing I was able to offer. Hey, for our guests, we have a negotiated rate with Flash Limo. They can get you to O'Hare for only $49. Hey, can I make you that reservation for you? Again, serve, serve, serve. That is service.
Right. Exactly. Anyone that is watching that knows Restream, I had us both on the screen, and now I don't know how to get us both back on the screen. So we're just going to have to flip back and forth. So I think they're very good examples of the first 2. What can you do? Okay. And then are you including also the third, offer options?
Yeah. And then I just mentioned.
You went through all 4 of them.
What's that?
You went through all 4 of them.
Well, and then the fourth one is to be creative. Here's the real strategy, everybody. You know, at your property and in your life, what are your hard no questions? What are the things that get you caught in that uncomfort and that anxiety? So figure out what those hard no questions are and then plan for them. How can you get creative to create that yes answer? I'm going to give you a really simple one. If you work for Marriott International, you've had this question. Hey, can I get a Diet Pepsi? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Can I get a Diet Coke? We at Marriott, we are Pepsi people. And the story behind that is actually very touching. So I love that we're Pepsi people, even though I'm a Diet Coke fan. But I get asked that every single day when I work for Marriott. Can I get a Diet Coke? So again, instead of going into, no, I'm sorry, we only serve Pepsi products, which is what I hear 9 out of 10 times. You don't need to be sorry. You don't need to shrink in your confidence. We sell a great product. And when you apologize for something that you have no reason to be, you've done nothing wrong, your energy is contagious. So because you said, no, I'm so sorry, we only have, now that guest actually is absorbing that and is feeling like you've done something wrong, but you haven't. We have a great product. So instead, make friends first. Diet Pop is my go-to caffeine fix too. We offer Diet Pepsi products. Does that work? Again, ask them, give them the option. You put the control back to them. And then 9 times, I'd say 80% of the time, a guest that asks you for a Diet Coke is just using that as a proper noun. They just want a Diet Pop. They don't care if it's Coke or Pepsi or Tab. They just want that Diet Pop. So once you let them know what you do have, they're like, oh, sure, great. Now, my friends, let's just say you got that pushback and you've got someone who is a Diet Coke fan and you're just like, no, I really only like Diet Coke. I'll just have a water. Now, how do you deliver that yes answer?
Wait, can I interrupt for a second? I think it's going to be more like, I can see people that would be more like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. You don't have I hate Diet Pepsi. And then give a whole story about how Diet Coke is so much better than Diet Pepsi. And so go ahead.
Well, I've never had it that serious, but I have had those faces. But then again, that's what I'm talking about. Know what your hard no's are and strategize, plan, get creative. So when that person goes, how can you still make their day and deliver on that yes answer? Go right back to step 1. Make friends first. Oh, you're a diehard Diet Coke gal. Guess what? I've got a private stock in the back. I'm going to get one just for you because I'm a Diet Coke girl too. So now you've related to them. You've made friends first. You've built this relationship. You're sharing your private stock with them. Because we knew we got that question every day, we had a private stock in back. And guests loved us all the more for it. It was even better if we just had it out on the shelf because I was sharing my private stock. Get it? Awesome. Great. Thank you, Trisha, for that. I'm glad you're enjoying the tips. But that's what the strategy is figure out what those hard no's are and strategize. And I know that sometimes you think all of a sudden that hard no comes up and you're like, oh, I need Christine Trippi or I need someone to help me with that. you've got the power. Just like Glinda the Good Witch, she always had the power in her shoes, or Dorothy, she always had the power in her shoes. Just go back to those 4 questions. How do you stop, take a breath, and make friends first? And then tell them what you do have. And once you take that breath, what happens? It's magical. It's science. I didn't create this. It's science. Once you take that breath and make friends first, it diffuses you. It diffuses the person you're with. And then all of a sudden, it opens up your brain to all what is possible. Well, let's see. I could do this. I could do that. And you're kind of empathetic with them. You're putting yourself in their shoes because you're making friends first with them. So all that stimulates a yes answer and a creative solution. So again, take that breath, make friends first, go right into what you can do. Offer options if you can. If you can't offer options, you can't think of an option on the spot, here's a magical phrase. Does that work for you? When you say that, you put the control back into the other person, and then they get to say if it works for them. They're not being dictated to. People do not like to be told what to do. True.
I had that on my list of things I wanted to make sure. I had that on my list of things I wanted to make sure you covered, and that was the magical question. And, I think that works in personal relationships, at work, at the grocery store, everywhere. Does that work for you? It empowers the person listening to say, well, it gives them the control. Whether they are in control or not, it gives them the control to say, to have an opinion instead of to say, to be talked at, to be
dictated to.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Trisha, I know. I was going to say, look at my necklace. Trisha is my Grace and Hart jewelry consultant.
Oh, fun.
She has sold me a bunch of Grace and Hart. I should have put some rings on. I have a bunch of rings. And thanks for noticing. And
Trisha, if you have anything pineapple, let me know. Very good. Well, what was else on your list there, Joan? What else did you want to dive into?
Well, I like that. I liked also that question, is it transferring? I wrote down, you're transferring the energy.
Yes.
You're transferring the energy. So now we have created this partnership. Yes. Like, even from the beginning, when you say make friends first, because I could see a lot of people go, oh my God, this is so sugary sweet, and this is impossible to do. And since I work for the government most of my life.
I would love to get into the government and help them.
Oh my gosh. Let me just show Janet before she has to jump off. Thanks, Janet, because I wasn't sure if anyone from LinkedIn was watching, and so now I see that you. Janet is my guest on Sunday on my Serendipity and Synchronicity show, and I have your book, Janet, and I will have at least some of it read by Sunday. Okay, Elizabeth's here too.
Hi, Elizabeth.
I love making friends first, and Elizabeth's. And again, if anyone's out there knows Restream and can tell me how to get both of us back on this screen, I would love that. I'm hitting all kinds of buttons and nothing's happening, and then there's buttons I'm afraid to hit. So, So, Elizabeth, tell us about a time that or your advice on how to make friends first. When I am negative, I'm going, there is just no way I can do this. And then we'll have Christine respond to it. While Elizabeth is doing that, I thought it was very interesting that part of your journey, and very young, started when you said yes to something you didn't want to, with the housekeeping in the very beginning. Yes. And so I wanted to tell people, I mean, I think that's very inspirational for first-time leaders and managers.
Yes, it is. And it's something that I talk about a lot with during this whole period of COVID and with new leaders. So just to give you a little background on what that situation was. And again, that's in the book, a little story, a little side note story in there. So one of my pieces of advice is if you're caught between two decisions, I always say most likely the right decision is the one that scares the hell out of you, because that's where the growth and development is going to come from. If you're not afraid of it, you already know how to do it. So you're not going to grow that much from that experience. Take the experience that's going to scare the hell out of you. Mm-hmm. And yes, push through the fear. I love that. Mm-hmm. And so what happened is I was, my entire, up until this point, my entire career was front of the house. At that current time, I worked at the Marriott, Chicago Northwest. It was a beautiful new hotel. It was just gorgeous. Every time I walked in, I would go, I work here. And I loved that hotel. And I was a front office manager. So I managed the bell staff, the front desk, the AYS, concierge, all the staff. And I've always, up until that point, been front of the house, that sexy part of the hotel, all that front of the house stuff. And when I was propositioned to take a position at a nearby Residence Inn hotel, and I would move up to assistant general manager and have a lot more responsibility in a smaller box. And I was really excited about that opportunity. But then I found out that I would also be in charge of housekeeping. And I was like, oh, housekeeping is not very sexy. And I was a little intimidated by that. And I just didn't know if that was, the right move for me. But again, taking that advice about taking the option that scares you. And the other thing was this hotel really needed a renovation. And I was at this gorgeous, beautiful Marriott and like, oh, how much of an impact do I make in a hotel that struggles product wise? So those were all big challenges. Well, I'm going to tell all of you, to this day, housekeeping is my favorite department. It was my favorite part of that job. I love that job so much. And I've done so much learning and growing through maintenance and housekeeping, honestly, from that beginning. And if I just always stayed where I was comfortable and where I knew I was exceptional, then I never would have had that growth. And I'd never be where I am today. I'd never be where I am today if I had not taken the choice, the path that was scary. And again, it was my very favorite part of my position. I love that position because of that aspect. So take the job.
Take the job. And you know what? I think as first-time leaders, it's totally natural to be scared and to be insecure. Mm-hmm. And like, that's what makes it. One of my coaching philosophies is imperfection is encouraged. So that's where the beauty is, to just take the chance that someone has given you, the universe, the divine, whatever, somehow the planets aligned, and this hotel contacted you at such a young age.
Yeah.
And you went from being a small fish in a big pond, so to speak, to a big fish in a
small pond.
Thank you. And is that the hotel that you talk about in the book that it got totally turned around? It was like on the red list?
Well, that's not the hotel, but at that hotel, and this is where, for me, I had success. I've had award-winning teams at nearly every single hotel I've worked for. And I never really attributed it to me. I know I contribute and all that, but then it was that hotel where I started to realize, you know what I'm doing is different. And this is why I'm having the success I'm having. And I'll tell everybody right now, this is my number one leadership tip. It's all about the culture you bring to that property. I'm not the smartest person in any room. I have been as successful as I have been because of the culture I bring to each property and the love I have for the people I serve, and being a servant leader, honestly. So that 100%. And Elizabeth, who's out there, I helped her. I was consulting with her hotel. She took over we could like to call it a legacy property, the older original generation one properties. And she took on so many of the pieces of advice that I shared with her and did her huddles. Huddle is the number one thing you can do to have award-winning teams. And she brought that hotel to award-winning. And again, if you were to step inside, you'd go, wow, whoever did this is pretty something. So at that Residence Inn, we were ranked, I think at the time, I think I might have written it in the book. I have it written down somewhere, but I think at the time it was around 400 and something. We were ranked out of all the Residence Inns.
Out of 11,000 or something.
Yeah.
No, out of 1,100.
Yeah, I think, and at the time it might not even have been that high, but
Okay.
we were ranked 400 something. And in 4 months, our hotel went to number 11 without a renovation, without any major changes or updates. It was all about the people inside the four walls, not the four walls. Be the cleanest, be the friendliest, be the most maintained, and have a lot of freaking fun.
Let me come back on for a second.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I looked at your book and I have major ADD. So sometimes I see things that people don't always see. So I did read the introduction and the when you dedicate the book to somebody, what is that called?
I think a dedication.
Okay, so I went through that, and I just was really touched by the love that you got from your family of origin.
Yes.
And how supportive your parents were. Do you think, how much of a part do you think that played in being able to, at 18 or 19, change a comfortable job with a big corporation that had like a major future for you, and go to another hotel and do something that you had never known? I just wanted to know how did you get that courage?
Well, the real story is a really long story, but I'm going to share with you. You are not far off about it. It's about those P's, those parents. I grew up in a very humble home, a blue collar pop, and we had 5 kids in my family. I never was on an airplane or a hotel till my honeymoon. Very humble, and I had this romanticized image of what it would be like to work for a hotel. And I also was not the greatest student. I started working at 14 in a restaurant as a bus girl. And from the minute I was able to make people happy and smile, I knew that I was going to do something along these lines for the rest of my life. This is what I'm good at. And so I didn't have a really high aspirations for myself. Never in a million years when I was that teenager did I think I'd be where I am today. I never in a million years. And I'm really proud of what I've done. And I know I've got more in me to do. But it was started at Ponderosa. My dad, I worked at Ponderosa. When I turned 16, I got a real legal job and I started working at Ponderosa. And I remember I was a bus girl and they wanted to promote me to steak walker. And I was like, oh my God. I went home. I told my dad, I'm just like, oh, Dad, you don't understand. They want me to steak walk. What if I drop all the tray with all the steaks? What if I don't remember the table number? What if and I just went on and on and on. And he told me all the things, sitting across from that greatest man I ever knew, my dad. He just told me all the things that a dad would tell his baby girl. You can do it. You're awesome. Look what you've done so far. All those things, right? Well, I did it. And you know what? I was a damn good steak walker. and so that was like the beginning of taking that scary choice and whatnot. And my dad, he's from that day on, it didn't matter. Every new decision I had in front of me for the rest of my life, I doubted. And I wondered if I could do it, if I had enough chops for it. And I would sit at that same kitchen table for 30 years, the same table in the same house across from the same great man. And you know what he would say to me every time? I was like, well, no, you don't understand. This time it's big. He'd say, baby, you thought you couldn't steak walk. Every single time. And I told that story when I won General Manager of the Year at the conference, and it made people cry.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Well, you know what? I am so glad I mentioned that. It was just like intuitively, I don't know why I wanted to read the introduction or the preface, because, you know, most of us just go to page 1 and start reading.
Yeah.
I was just touched by the love that you have with the family. Another thing I thought would be very interesting for our listeners to hear is just the symbolism of the pineapple.
Oh, sure. I love that so much. So when I became the senior manager of operations at Marriott International, I was leaving hotel operations to go and support the countrywide of our hotels, our portfolio across the way of select service hotels. And I've already mentioned my favorite thing in life is huddle, and it's the number one thing you do every day to create award-winning teams. And I didn't realize this at the time when I was feeling that need, but because I missed that, I decided I want to inspire people, and I'm going to learn so much crossing the country and visiting all these hotels, and I want to keep sharing all that I learned. So I created a Facebook group, a private group for all the people that I serve. And every day my mission was to share positive energy and hotel know-how from the road. And I was trying to think of what to call the group. And I really wanted it to be called Pineapple Express, because I was going to be this, hospitality girl on the road. But that is known as a movie that's all about smoking the weed. So I just couldn't name it.
That's a different kind of road trip.
Yeah, different kind of road trip. Absolutely. So I didn't want to name it that. And so I thought, well, we're all smart hospitality gals and guys. So I thought Wise Pineapple. And then as I was writing the book and considering moving out on my own and founding the Wise Pineapple, I'm just like, but how do I tie it all in? Well, I was landing in LAX airport, and I had just read that little poem, Be a Pineapple. Stand tall, be empowered, and be sweet on the inside. And I thought, I love this so much. I've seen it so many times. And how can I just combine that with what I do? And then literally I landed on the tarmac, and it was like a light bulb went off in my head. And I was like, what are you talking about? That is exactly everything you do. Every training I put together is about teaching people how to be confident, be empowered, and to lead from the heart. And that's it. Stand tall, be confident, wear a crown, be empowered, and be sweet on the inside. Lead from the heart.
Hang on 1 second, because I want to get that in here. So I already wrote stand tall,
yes.
Be confident, wear a crown.
Stand tall and be confident.
Oh, that's together. They go together. Okay.
Yep. Wear your crown, be empowered, and then be sweet, lead from the heart.
Okay, wear your crown, be empowered. And 3 is be sweet inside. No, lead from the heart.
Yes, lead from the heart. If you are showing up, loving your customers, loving your associates, loving your vendors, that Pepsi delivery guy, that's leading from the heart. It all starts in your mental attitude. How are you showing up every day? Are you showing up to serve, or are you showing up to find somebody doing something wrong? Are you showing up to catch somebody out? A lot of that's kind of taken place during this last year that we've had. And a lot of us have kind of forgotten our hospitality because we've just been trying to improvise and figure this whole thing out. But we figured it out, guys. It's time to get back to what we do best, hospitality. Show up every day with love in your heart and to serve.
That's awesome.
Elizabeth, I love you. Smoking the weed.
Yeah, like I said, that's a different kind of, you know what? That's a different kind of road trip and a different kind of discussion.
Yes.
different kind of discussion. Okay, I thought the pineapple, like, I knew that the pineapple was a symbol of hospitality and friendship, but I didn't know I'd love the wear a crown and be empowered. So I just stand up. Like, it's just, the pineapple is just so straight up. It's not like other fruit that will fall down. More than likely, it's just going to stand straight up. I also loved in your book that you had sweet spots, which means, for those of you that haven't seen the book, Christine goes through the lesson, which I will call it a lesson.
Yep.
And then gives an example, and then has a page for you to answer what you think would be how to implement the learning that you just learned.
Right.
So,
and I did that on purpose because as I would do this as a workshop and training, oh, look at you, Joan.
I have no idea. I have no idea why that's what's happening.
Way to go, girl. But as you go through, like, as I would present this as training, everybody shows up thinking, I say yes, and I know how to say yes, and I do that already. It's really until you realize, until I ask you that hard no question, and you are like, yeah, I don't know how to say yes to this. Because everybody goes into it thinking, what is she going to teach? Or what is she, I know how to do this. I know how to say yes. But we don't. Until you get the 4 steps, you really, you bank on that unfortunately piece a lot. So that's why I really wanted, when people read it, because I know when I'm doing this as a presentation, as a training, it's easy to do that. But I'm like, how do I do that in a book? And that's why I formatted it that way, so that you really, I say, okay, here's a situation. How would you say yes to this? I really want people to go, you know what? I'm not sure how I would say yes to this. This is harder than I really realized, because that's exactly what I had to go through to come through it. And then the actual practice of it. I can tell you the 4 steps 100 times a day. If you don't physically role play it and practice it, and that taking that breath, you're not going to get it. You have to practice it, because we are genetically programmed to go to the negative. Let me ask you, back in 1914, they created something in the middle of the road to help direct traffic. What's that called, Joan?
It's 1914. I'm going to say stop sign.
Very good. It's a stop sign or a stop light. That's what we all call it. It's not a stop sign. It makes you caution. It makes you go, and it stops. It's a traffic light. But we all call it a stoplight. Not a go light. That. We just naturally go to that negative place, and it's just how we're made up. But if you practice the muscle, you'll break through it. So that's why in your huddles, most important thing you do every day, take out yes scenarios. Practice those. Practice saying it. Sometimes we know the rules in our head, but not in our mouth. We need to practice saying it. And I'm going to tell you what, I wrote the damn book, okay? And it was just a few months ago that I let the anxiety of the confrontation get the better of me, and I almost blew it. And I'll tell you what happened. Somebody I was at, actually, this was a year ago now, because this was one of the last conferences I gave a keynote for a year ago. And it was for a women's group, and they let me have a table to sell my books. Well, I didn't know that everybody else in that room was giving stuff away. So when someone came to my table and said, oh, are these free? I immediately went, But I did. I stopped myself and I said, thank you so much for asking. That's a perfect make friends first to have in your front pocket, because it's really easy and it gives you that breath. It gives you that breath to calm yourself from the flight or fright. Okay. Right. Thank you for asking. If you put your business card in this drawing, somebody's going to win a free book. Otherwise, they're $14.99. A special price for you. So I caught myself, but I almost went right into, oh, I'm sorry, no. So that's what I'm saying. It's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. You got to practice every day so that you get that muscle strong. It's just like the biceps. Definitely. Gotta work out that muscle.
So you mentioned the huddle, and Elizabeth mentioned the huddle. Now I have feedback. I'm not sure why. tell us more about what it is. Now, in the code world, in the tech world, I think they call it Scrum.
Oh, someone just mentioned that acronym to me. Do you know what that acronym
I don't
is?
know what the acronym means, but I know that they get
I've
together.
never heard
I know
of
they all
Scrum.
huddle. To me, it's like a huddle. They all get together in the morning.
Uh-huh.
You're doing that break.
Yeah,
So to
I'm
me,
gonna
it
have to
reminds me of
Google that immediately after this call because
okay.
I think it might have been yesterday. I was talking to somebody. She mentioned Scrum and was that you? Were you talking about Scrum with me?
I'm going to look it up.
Okay, look it up. At any rate, huddle. I'll just briefly say because I could talk to you for 4 days about this. Is that it originated in hospitality, anyways, as a stand-up. And they call it stand up and huddle because you're supposed to huddle up together. And the discomfort of standing for very long keeps the meeting short. That's why it's intentional for everyone to just huddle up in the morning, standing. That's very important. And then share that information. I have a whole process and a whole intentional being of why you do it and how you do it and lots of best practice for it. It's one of my workshops that I do for hotels, one of my most popular workshops. And I'll tell you, it is this reason why I've had the success I've had. This is the number one thing you do all day. There's nothing else more important than that. I'd have it on my calendar and I'd tell everybody that 10 o'clock is our huddle time. And unless it's Mr. Marriott, they're going to have to catch me at 10:30.
So I call I think this is really good for a first-time leader.
Yes.
So I call all my people together. Say I have 8 employees and we all get together. And then what do we do?
You huddle. But in the morning, or afternoon, it's a pre-shift. Some of the main things you're looking to do is share information, recognize people, share goals, train. This is a perfect venue to be practicing those yes scenarios. And coming to huddle and say, you know what, I had a really hard yes answer or no question yesterday and I blew it. Let's all talk about what our creative yes could be. That's where you get all that information. And every day I frame up my huddles on the basics of what keeps associates satisfied in their role. And if you're delivering on this promise every day, then you are going to create an award-winning, happy culture.
Okay, so since we're using huddle, are you the quarterback? Is the leader the quarterback?
Well, one of my best practices that I share with everybody is make it our huddle, not my huddle. And I had to learn that through failure. I would make it my huddle and I would be all about not me, but I would be delivering everything. And you just don't have the same buy-in. So it is our huddle. Everybody has their part in it. Everybody has their ownership piece. So when the morning huddle gets started, it's not, I got to go to the GM's huddle. I'm going to, let's get ready for our huddle and make it fun. You might be able to see, I'm not sure, that my sign up there, I am the director of fun. And everything I do, I try to make fun. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's great for first-time managers to know that just to get together, stay standing. What does anybody have? What are you working on today? In my world, in code enforcement, I would say, what site visits are you making today? Is there anything I need to know? Is there anything that you intuitively think is going to go up the line? Tell me now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And again, these are workshops that I could do with any team virtually or in person. Follow me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook. And if my website is thewisepineapple.com, if you subscribe every Wednesday, I send out Wise Wednesday. I provide free sources and tips and tricks and positive energy. So all of those are ways to continue following the energy and just hearing more what I've got to say.
Okay, here's your website.
Yeah, that's the website.
What is your Instagram? What do you call it? Tag? Logo? Yeah,
it is. I always forget because I think it's the-wise-pineapple. I know there's hyphens in there. I had to use hyphens. But if you search the wise pineapple, you'll find me.
Okay.
Yes. And
Okay,
LinkedIn, I share almost every day on LinkedIn. Last week I shared 5 videos that you can use in your huddles, and it's all about loving your customers. So I did the work for you guys. Some great information. And again, I'm just in this position where I just want to help people share positive energy, share hotel know-how, and just do what I love to do. I love doing this.
So,
just like you, Joan. Look what you're doing. And talk about taking the scary route. Look at what you did today. Today was your first LinkedIn Live. You couldn't figure out how to do the double thing. Then you found it. We worked it out. If we help one person today, we did something today.
Right.
And that's awesome. So congratulations to you. I'm giving you big thumbs up.
Oh, I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, my big thumb up.
It was so big. Oh my gosh, I have to get that. Now with my coaching clients, I have this. I do this.
Oh.
That was easy.
I've got this one.
Did you make that up yourself?
No, I bought it.
Okay, now Elizabeth has good advice for first-time leaders.
Yes.
Branching off of your huddle. And we have 4 minutes left. And Elizabeth is saying the quarterback switches every time. Have your colleagues plan today's huddle. It makes it more fun, and they come up with fun games and fun training. Yeah, and then it's just like you get buy-in, and you don't have, some people that I worked with throughout my career, they would rather stick a fork in their eye than to go to a daily huddle. So no matter what games you're playing, no matter what training you're doing, there's just those people.
They're not your people then. That's not the team for them. And we need to help them find the team that's right for them.
Exactly.
Part of my team.
So hear that first-time supervisors and managers, you're going to have difficult people, and you might not be able to deal with it immediately, but we're going to find a place for them. In Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, he says, get the right people on the bus, get the wrong people off the bus,
yes.
Get the right people in the right seats.
Right. And that's actually one of my tips in my training as well, my workshop, is you need to be stronger than the resistance.
Ooh.
And there's resistance. You're going to have some resistance sometimes. And especially when I took over that courtyard that you mentioned earlier, they didn't have a huddle culture prior to, and they were very resistant. And so we had private conversations, and I'll remember my ops manager Dan. He would be like, Christine, when you're not here, everybody asks me to skip huddle, or they're busy, or this or that. And I said, Dan, you always want to speak to the with them. What's in it for them? Okay, what's in it for me is the with them. And when someone says that to you, you let them know, as your leader, I owe you this, and I would never cheat you of this. So have a great huddle. Let's do it. What are they going to say to you on that? If you're always speaking to what you're doing for others and what's in it for them, then you are going to have a better conversation instead of what you have to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then that's when you have those great private conversations. This is part of our culture. This is who we are. Is this a team you want to be on? Maybe not. And that's okay. That's okay. Let's get you where you're going to be happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Because those employees, they're like cancer, and it just affects everything.
I always like to say your margarita can only be as good as your worst lime.
I read that in the book. I love it. I love it.
That came from Key One Cove Water Resort.
That was amazing. Let's see. And then before we go, I really loved, now in Kindle, it's on page 83. I don't know what it is in your book, but the empowerment circle.
Yeah.
I liked how you have a diagram that just can show me where am I right now?
Right.
How do I get to the next step? So it just, for those of you that don't know, there's a pineapple in the middle, and then there's different steps on the outside.
I've got it actually with that 1 minute. Y'all can see it right there.
Okay, push it a little closer to the screen. Okay, now a little to you. Okay, there we go. So we have thoughts, Words, actions, routine, and results, and start again.
And then it's a roving circle. How
Right.
you show up. If you show up thinking, oh, I've got a sports group in, that's going to impact your actions, your habits, your results. If you show up thinking, we are going to make this the best sports team experience in the history of the world, that's going to impact your actions, your habits, your results. And that's how it starts. It's all about how you think about the day or what you're doing.
Well, you know what? And why I'm smiling so broadly is that it's not new.
No, it's not new.
Every year we have soccer. Every year there's soccer season. Every year there's a tournament, and we have these. So whatever issues that group brings, it's the same as last year. So let's be proactive, and they're coming. This is going to be our attitude. This is what we had to do with last year. What can we change this year? Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, it's not new. That's what I didn't mean. Anything in your book is not new. I meant that.
And last message for those leaders is that's where it's all at. You might be thinking you're talking behind the scenes of like, oh, these soccer players or oh, the sports group or oh, these brides. You know, you might be thinking you're talking behind the scenes, but that's not how we really act in front of the house. But, you know, I'm just talking behind the scenes. A lot of leaders do that innocently. But what I want to share with you, maybe to make that last message, is that it all starts with you. And if you say it behind the scenes, your associates absorb that attitude and they do it in front of the scenes. Mm-hmm. And I promise you that's what happens, even when you think it's behind the scenes or just between you and me. Mm-hmm. It all starts with how you show up. You're the leader. You're setting the tone. Be that leader.
I think that's really important. Right. It's amazing. I love that. I love
it too.
Right. Any other? So
such a pleasure to be here with you. I wish you all the success and luck in the world. You're an inspiration to me because you've retired and now you're just doing the stuff you love. And hey, that's awesome.
Amazing. I pinch myself some days. I just pinch myself that I have LinkedIn Live and that I get to promote other people and help other people, as I have had so many people along the way help me. Mm-hmm. And it's awesome. Just, I'm amazed. So in closing, let's see, let me do your website again. And then you do training, individual and group.
Consulting, training, keynote speaking, coaching, whatever support I can offer you, operations, service, customer service, all of that, leadership, I'm here for you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being on. I am ready to hit the end stream button. You have any parting things?
Just make it a great day. I love you all.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Now we'll stay on. Stay on, but everyone else will go. Okay. Bye. Okay. Bye, everyone. Bye. Bye, Elizabeth.